Greetings, friends. It's me, Wayman29, and a viewer called in and wanted me to, or PM me, and wanted me to give my opinion on Jeremiah 31. So here we are in the New Jerusalem Publication Society Tanakh, and we're going to start 31:27. We're going to read down to Jeremiah 31:36. See, a time is coming, declares the Lord, when I will sow the house of Israel and the house of Judah with seed of men and seed of cattle. And just as I was watchful over them to uproot and pull down, to overthrow and to destroy, and to bring disaster, so I will be watchful over them to build and to plant, declares the Lord. In those days they shall no longer say, parents have eaten sour grapes, and their children's teeth are blunted. But every one shall die for his own sins. Whoever eats sour grapes, his teeth shall be blunted. See, a time is coming, declares the Lord, when I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and the house of Judah. It will not be like the covenant I made with their fathers when I took them by the hand and led them out of Egypt, a covenant which they broke, though I espoused them, declares the Lord. But such is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel after these days, declares the Lord. I will put my teaching into their inmost being and inscribe it upon their hearts. Then I will be their God, and they shall be my people. No longer will they need to teach one another and say to one another, heed the Lord, for all of them, from the least of them to the greatest, shall heed me, declares the Lord. For I will forgive their iniquities and remember their sins no more. So this is pretty interesting. The gist of this is a marriage contract. We see Ezekiel 18 being used here, where Jeremiah 31:29 quotes Ezekiel. And if you read all of Ezekiel 18, the sins of the fathers are no longer the sins of the children also, but each person is responsible for their own sins. And you can read Ezekiel 18 in full. It's a beautiful text, and it lays out who is responsible for what, and what you have to do when you transgress. So it's pretty interesting also that in Jeremiah chapter 3, it talks about the divorce from the Creator. And even in Jeremiah 3, how that marriage contract is renewed with the Creator. Because he says in Jeremiah 3, we'll go over there. Just now you called me Father. You are the champion of my youth. Does one hate for all time? Does one rage forever? That is how you spoke. You did wrong, and you had your way. And the Lord said to me, in the days of King Josiah, have you seen what rebel Israel did, going to every high mountain, under every leafy tree, and whoring there? I thought, after she had done all these things, she will come back to me. But she did not come back, and her faithless Judah saw it. I noted, because rebel Israel had committed adultery, I cast her off and handed her a bill of divorce. Yet her sister, faithless Judah, was not afraid, and she went and whored. Indeed, the land was defiled by her casual immorality, as she committed adultery with stone and wood. And after that, her sister faithless Judah did not return to me wholeheartedly, but insincerely, declares the Lord. And the Lord said to me, Rebel Israel has shown herself more in right than the faithless Judah. Go make this proclamation towards the north and say, Turn back, O rebel Israel, declares the Lord, and I will not look on you in anger, for I am compassionate, declares the Lord. I do not bear a grudge for all time. Also, in Jeremiah 31, quotes Deuteronomy. Quotes Deuteronomy 30, I believe. Since you will be heeding the Lord your God and keeping his commandments and laws that are recorded in this book of the teaching, once you return to the Lord your God with all your heart and soul, surely this instruction which I enjoin on you this day is not too baffling for you, nor is it beyond reach. It is not in the heavens that you should say, Who among us can go up into the heavens and get it for us and impart it to us, that we may observe it? Neither is it beyond the sea that you should say, Who among us should cross to the other side of the sea and get it for us and impart it to us, that we may observe it. No, the thing is very close to you, in your mouth and in your heart, to observe it. See, I set before you this day life and prosperity, death and adversity. So here we have two choices. You can either choose life or death. And life or death is granted or denied by the single intent of committing or heeding to the good impulse or the evil impulse. And how do we know that? Like it says in Jeremiah and here in Deuteronomy, it's very close to us. It's written on our hearts. Now here's the deal. There's been plenty of New Covenant theologies. And it's at that point in Jeremiah 31:31 that many movements jump in and hijack Judaism for their own with New Covenant theologies. There's hundreds of them out there. And you could do a huge study. I would suggest go to Wiki, look it up, read about New Covenant theologies, and ask yourself, how is New Testament Pesherism, and how is Pesher today being read into the text using Pesher to interpret what's happening right now, according to our belief systems when we're in them, in our worldview when we're in them? And is it consistent with that of Israel and the teachings of Hosea, Jeremiah, and Deuteronomy, these New Covenant theologies? I do not believe in proselytizing to Jews. I do not believe in proselytizing to anybody, because I believe that people should follow the gods of their fathers. Because this is what happens right here. But if your heart turns away, and you give no heed, and are lured into the worship and service of other gods, I declare to you this day that you shall certainly perish. You shall not long endure on the soil that you are crossing the Jordan to enter and possess. I call heaven and earth to witness against you this day. I have put before you life and death, blessings and cursings. Choose life, if you and your offspring would live. So, as soon as a person transgresses and he turns to repent, the Creator comes running back. Just as in the parable and New Testament ideas, Jesus, who was Jewish, taught, he comes running back. He looks for us. He comes running back that quickly. He puts a ring on our finger and treats us as if we are new people. A new marriage occurs every time we repent, every time we transgress, according to Ezekiel 18. A new divorce document is handed to us. So here we are given the choice: choose life or choose death. So, I don't know about all the New Testament theologies that are out there today, and I don't even know a lot of times where they get a lot of their ideas. I know that in Dead Sea Scroll apocalyptic literature, they've seen the priestly caste so profane that they felt they needed to break away out of the mainstream and do something about it. And they needed to compensate what they could not do in the temple, so they did that. You have Pauline New Testament ideas following the same route. Paul's ideas were not new. You find the same thing in the Dead Sea Scrolls. And where it was the teacher of righteousness in the Dead Sea Scrolls, it ended up being Jesus in the New Testament. So messiahship was put on all these people. And they go back to the literature, and they use Pesher to interpret the Jewish literature. And when it says in Deuteronomy, I'll raise up a prophet, that could be. If you believe that Deuteronomy was written in that time period, it could be Samuel, or the saviors of Israel all throughout Judges. However, if you believe that Deuteronomy was written around the time of Josiah and implemented, it was that King Josiah and Hezekiah who did the reforms and obeyed. So, I don't know, friends. I would suggest if you have those ideas, it's fine to have them, but you're safer not sharing them. So, take care, friends, and remember, if everybody's thinking alike, then somebody isn't thinking.